redo. Oh, hey everybody. People are already here. Okay, gotta adjust my lighting. This looks awful. Oh, too much. There we go. A little bit better. Can see the machine, can see my ironing board. Better, much better. Okay, so I am making the small snowdrop today. This pattern is itty bitty, so cute. This is how big the bag is. Hi Inga. Hello sewing friends. I'm gonna try and start saying that. Hi Charlene, hi Melissa. Isn't it super tiny? So I figured I'd show you guys, since I had one here, what the finished product should look like. Hi Brenda. So I'm gonna do my best to kind of not see too many comments since this is recording live. So if you're rewatching this, I apologize. I don't know. So I'm gonna start by prepping my zippers and then working on the lining, and then I'll go ahead and head to the outside of the bag. So the first thing I'm gonna do is add my zipper pulls. You can use a zipper jig or a zipper genie, or a fork works great too. I'm just using these pop tab zipper pulls from my website, along with one of my new zipper tapes. Kind of coordinates with my outfit a little bit. But I definitely had the Flirkin fabric in mind when I ordered this color. So I'm just gonna add my zipper pulls. Oh, that's right. So I'm actually gonna use one of these cat pulls for the lining pocket and then the regular on the outside. I thought that would be fun. Me and Tammy were like, yes, let's do that. So I've cut my lining pocket to about 8 inches for the zipper, and then the top one about 13 inches, just so there's plenty of extra at the end. And then one thing that really helps is to square your zipper off before you get started. So what I do is I'll fold it under, kind of at a 45-degree angle. Oh, thanks. I didn't shower today. We're kind of having just a home day. So you'll have the excess of your zipper tape underneath. I'm actually going to head over to my domestic machine really quick and just stay stitch that along the outer edge right there. So I'll show you when I come back. I'm not taking you with me, so hold please. Pardon my sweatpant outfit. I'm back. So I just squared off the teeth there. And you can use that method for zipper by the yard for almost any project. You can't do it on both sides though. So I'm gonna just trim my extra thread and then trim that little bit of zipper tape showing on the side so that it's nice and flush. So just a little bit, and then I'm going to use a lighter just to singe the ends. Singe, keep them from fraying, I guess, technically. So that's what it ends up looking like. So then the other end of the zipper we're going to finish off later. I'm just going to hit it with my lighter really quick and then add a clip on the end just so I don't accidentally slide that off. So let me grab my lining pieces. Slip pocket, zippered pocket, side pieces. Oh, thank you, Tanya. All right, so we're gonna start with the slip pocket for this bag. This is not included in the pattern, but it's something I like to add. So this is a 6" by 12" piece. I'm using waterproof canvas. Oh, thanks, Deb. I'm using this waterproof canvas, so I don't need to use two sides of the fabric or anything, so. So I'm folding the top edge over about 1/2 inch, and I'm going to top stitch. And if my lighting or my angle is kind of weird, just give me a comment so I know. So there's my top stitch. I wasn't holding my thread, so it bunched up here, but I'm gonna trim it off so it's okay. And then I'm gonna use 1/4 inch wide double-sided tape along the bottom and fold that up. I did get a purple iron, yes. Hi, everybody. So I'm just folding that edge up. And then I'm gonna fold it in half to make a center crease and just line that up on my lining panel about 1/2 inch or so from the bottom. And I'll show you guys what I mean. Aslan, I don't like the purple one as much as I like the pink one. So hopefully you can see there's a little bit along that bottom notch. And then we're gonna trim off the excess, so what I'm gonna do is just base this in place along the side and then sew across the bottom. Yeah, that and the automatic timer on that one is only 10 minutes instead of 30 minutes. So like I'll hit it to warm it up and then by the time I'm ready, it's off again. So I should have just spent the $20 extra to get another pink one. Okay, so trimming down the excess. Hey Vita, yeah, that would not work for me, right? So you could stitch down the center if you wanted or add a few dividers, but this bag is kind of small, so if you were to sew down the center, like, it's hard to get your hand in there, so I just keep it open as one big area. And then I'll set that aside. I'm gonna work on my zippered pocket now. So this is a 6" zippered pocket, so I'm folding my lining in half to find the center. I'm grabbing my little 6" ruler and about 1.5 inches or 1 inch or so from the top, I'm going to trace my ruler to create a line that's 6 inches, and then I'm going to come down about 3/8 of an inch from that to mark my other 6" line to make the 6" box. Normally I would use my zipper template, but it doesn't have 6" on it, but that's okay because I have this ruler, so totally fine. It's like going back in time. So then I'm gonna line up my center fold lines. Hopefully you can kind of see there and there, and just line up where I'd like the zipper pocket to be. Oh, I thought I started it on a different season. That's okay. It's Zachary Levi. Someone said you crochet as well. I've been only working on one blanket forever, but maybe I'll show you guys that someday. So I'm gonna line this up about 2 inches from the top. I've been going and doing different heights to see what I like best, but I think 2 inches is gonna be the sweet spot. So holding that in place, back stitching. gonna go down all the way and pivot. And then I'm going to use these precision snips from Olfa to cut this open. And these scissors are great. I think they also have micro tip scissors at Walmart or something like that. But they work really well to just get in that corner without snipping through your threads. Okay, so I'm gonna flip this through, get my iron started. I have not had a chance to make any of the Shambhala bags. I have purchased a handful. I just haven't gotten a chance, but they're so amazing. Very well done. All right, so then I'm gonna use some steam and a light hand to iron this. You definitely don't want to iron the waterproof canvas for too long or it will melt. Jaded asked, how much is too much to pay for a pattern? It's really hard to say. I think it just depends on if you feel like you would use it. I do know that patterns take hours and hours and hours to design. So as a designer, I charge accordingly. But I really think it's whatever you feel comfortable paying, essentially. Okay, so I'm gonna just steam my zipper really quick to get out any wrinkles. And then lay this in place like that. In place. I'm using a stitch length of 4.5. Okay, so I've cut my zipper pocket fairly large, but I'm okay with that because I'm just going to trim it down. My friend Danielle sent me an email to let me know that there's a bit of an easier way to kind of, you know how when we're doing a zippered pocket, we like flip the end of it under? Well, she showed me something and I was like, that works. That's pretty awesome. So I'm going to trim down my zipper pocket a little bit really quick and then show you guys what it is. Also, just a bit of a disclaimer, I am not using the instructions for the zipper pocket that the pattern gave, so cutting instructions, so that's why mine is large. Okay. Someone said, I know it's not a sewing question, but what is your chair comfortable for sitting in at length? I mean, sometimes I sew for 10 hours a day and I'm fairly comfortable in it. What do you order when you get the double stick tape from Waywack? It's called double-sided leather tape, I believe. All right, so back to this pocket. So what we're gonna do is when we start sewing, we're actually gonna fold it to start. So here's the bottom, this is the open end, and we're folding it up, and then we're going to start sewing there. And I am going to back stitch, and then I have to keep in mind my pocket size. There we go. And I like to make sure I'm catching my zipper by the yard in the side seam so that it doesn't like start to fray inside the bag. Okay, so I'm getting towards the other side, so I still want to make sure that it's folded up and back stitch. Tammy said she emailed me about a custom order. Yes, I am currently backed up on custom orders, but I should get back to you within the next 2 weeks or so. So here's what that looks like. This part here is still left open. Cindy says she does that all the time. Well, there you go. Now everyone will know. But she was like, just a little trick. And it's not like it's too difficult to fold it up afterwards, but hey, if it's one less step, why not? So then you just flip it through. You're basically poking that corner that you top stitched through. Quick and easy. Pretty awesome. I was like, all right, I can do that. Okay, so there is our zippered pocket for the bag all finished. There's my cute little cat zipper pull. So now my lining is almost complete. I just have to add these side panels. So I'm going to start on the side with the slip pocket. It doesn't really matter. You're going to add it to all of them anyway. And then this pattern I think is like 1/2 inch, or not 1/2 inch, but like 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And I'm just going to sew all the way down. Flip to the other side. Back stitch when you get to the top, just so that doesn't start to come undone. So there's that, and then you just fold it open and add the other side. Lining up the other side, back stitch, all the way to the top and back stitch. So now you've got your lining nearly finished. And I can't remember what exactly the pattern says to do. It may have you sew all the way across the bottom, but what I'm going to do is sew 2.5 inches or so on this side, 2.5 inches or so on this side, and leave this open. Casey said she went to the site to order the new zippers and they were sold out. It was insanity. So hopefully we're going to be able to restock within the next 2 weeks or so, the zipper by the yard. Oh, it just took us so long to cut all that out that we don't have time. So we definitely have more here and we will restock. All right, so I'm back stitching, kind of just sliding over to the other side, back stitching, sewing that shut. I'm going to trim the extra threads here. So right now we have 2 ways out of this place. We have this hole in the bottom and then this hole in the zippered pocket. So we're actually going to turn the bag through the opening in the lining and then pull that through the zippered pocket to close. So now we need to flatten, square the bottom of the bag. So we're just going to bring that side seam down to the bottom and sew across. So here's what that looks like. And this is the side panel, this is the bottom. So from the top, we're gonna square the bottom here. So you just bring it towards itself, and then your slip pocket, if you decided to add it, should kind of create that seam there on the bottom. I do not interface the waterproof canvas. It's definitely sturdy enough on its own. Okay, so I'm gonna just trim along the bottom on both sides. And your lining is finished. Alexis said she made her first clutch the other day, and it's not perfect, but it came out okay. And that's kind of what sewing is a series of things that don't come out perfect until you've got it just right, and then it still may not be perfect, but it's better than it was. Okay, so I'm going to turn the lining right side out and then just set it to the side. And I really like making the large version of this bag. So the small one is also fun, but quicker because there's less to sew. So here's what the lining looks like. There's your slip pocket here. Yeah, Rochelle. I'm trying to fill in my absence. And there's what that pocket looks like. It's so cute. I love that zipper pull. Alright, so I'm going to set that aside and we'll get started on the exterior. I know, Alexis, wouldn't that be fun if you could post pictures on the live stream? Well, not for the orange door hinges that may walk in. That would not be fun. Okay, so I know my, oh, Kira, that's exciting. So Kira made an all pink leather Lauren handbag, and she said she just got back from an event and she got so many compliments, and it was really cool to be like, oh, thanks, I made it. I get more tempted to try. Oh, thank you. The name of this bag is the Snowdrop by Blue Calla. So I have cut my handles to 20 inches. If you don't trim the excess, it just kind of gets bunchy in your lining, basically. All right, so I have cut my handles to 20 inches by 3 inches, making 3/4 inch handles. I felt like 1 inch was a little too thick for how small the bag is, so it's really up to you. You can follow the pattern for the first time and see what you think, but I like the idea of, I just love changing up patterns. I don't think I'll ever stop. I'm like, yeah, this is good, but let me try something. It doesn't always work out, but it's still fun to try. So I've folded in the handles, and I'm just going to repeat that on the other side. You make a line down the center, which would be 1.5 inches, and then fold in the raw long edges. When I'm working with vinyl, I like to leave about 1/8 of an inch in between so that it has room to fold on top of itself. Okay. I'm gonna change my stitch length to 5, and I'm just gonna sew down the folding, the open folded edge, and then down the other one. I'm 72, which is the best bag for me to make for myself? That's a really tough question. Somebody else may have an answer, but I think it's all about personal preference. We all have different taste in bags. So I would say just kind of look around at patterns and see which one you like. Jolynn asked if I use a Teflon foot. No, because my machine has a walking foot built in, but a Teflon foot could help. But I find that a walking foot is best with vinyl. Some people may like a Teflon foot more, so see what you can try. If you can get it somewhere where you can try it out and return it, that's even better. If you don't like it, of course. Alright, so here is my strap finished. I'm gonna trim off. Vita, they don't have to be my patterns. There's so many others. Do we have an orange door hinge situation? Okay, so I'm using a lighter to just really quick keep the ends of my thread from fraying. And make sure you test that with your vinyl first, just in case it starts to burn. Ow. 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 I'm fine. Okay. There we go. You can make your straps longer for this bag if you prefer, or you can even make them shorter. I think 18 inches would be really cute also. It'd be more of a grab handle than an arm crook. So, personal preference. You might like them even longer, like 24, 26 inches. I just think that proportionally that's a little too big for the bag, aesthetically speaking. Have I made the coin purse? No, but Cindy, I saw yours today. I did grit the pattern. I can't remember if I purchased it or if Carissa sent it to me, but I've been meaning to do it. Yeah, I just haven't had a chance. Okay, setting that aside, I'm going to move on to my top zipper just to get him out of the way. Oh, where's my other? There it is. So another thing about this bag is the top recessed zipper is so teensy, so you really have to be careful with your seam allowances on this and take time to press everything nicely. I'm mostly saying that to remind myself. So I'm lining them up like this. I'm taking 1/4 inch wide double-sided tape, laying it across the bottom. Okay. So then I'm folding it all together so I know they're about the same size. Is my lighting still not right? I wonder if... Maybe that's a little bit better. Might be that. Okay, still folding. Sorry, I was catching up on comments. All right. And then you can cut them apart. I'm just gonna pull it apart. It's like decorative streamers. Okay. Gonna touch my iron again. So it starts to heat up. I'm gonna grab my zipper that's been squared off, and I'm actually going to unzip it all the way. Well, not all the way. Don't undo it all the way. So I'm gonna lay the teeth face down on the exterior, and I'm gonna come down about 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch from the outer edge and clip this in place, and I'll show you guys a little bit better. I'll hold it up. Oh. So there's the end. This is my zipper, and it's face down. You can see the coils that way. Hey, Cindy. So now you can baste this in place if you want to, or you can just go ahead and add your lining and sew it all at once. Because my zipper pull is out of the way, I'm not gonna have any issues with slipping or things shifting. So I'm just gonna do it all at once. Yeah, see how tiny it is? It's so small. So one thing you could do is widen it by like 1/4 of an inch just to give you a little bit more room for error. But you can't make it any longer or it won't fit right on the bag. So just a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And kind of as you're sewing, make sure that the sides are lining up. If not, you can kind of refold one or the other. And then try not to sew past your zipper panel. You don't want to sew onto the zipper tape or it'll show through. And then trim your excess threads. So here's what that's looking like. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna very carefully iron the lining fabric only with some steam, and then we'll be able to top stitch all the way around. Do you have a preference on brand or type of vinyl? Not really. I try to use ones from all over the place. I really think it's all about like personally what you like the feel of. I would say a great place to start is Bodio for really nice, inexpensive vinyls. Hers are kind of like limited edition, which is fun. But if you're looking for it again, might be kind of frustrating. But My Punk Embroidery also has some really fun ones that you can choose from. All right, so I'm folding this lining up as close as I can to the edge. And just kind of pull it from the zipper as we go, so it lines up, and top stitch. I'm still on a 5-stitch length. And pivot. And then you'll top stitch along the other side. It looks like my lining is a little bit short, so I'm gonna lose a little bit of my exterior. That's okay, we'll trim it down, it'll work itself out. So you can see there. So I'm gonna trim down my exterior vinyl so that I can be as precise as possible when I'm putting it on the bag itself. So I'm gonna zip this up, kind of make sure everything's looking good. Make sure my zipper isn't slipping. And then taking the other exterior and I'm lining up the side, the back end, I should say, not the front where the zipper pull is. I'm lining that up first and clipping it, and then I'm gonna unzip my zipper so the tape is free. So your exterior fabric should have the teeth laying on top, and then you'll add your lining fabric. I may baste my zipper for this side just because it's slipping a little bit. It's getting slippery. So when you're basting with something this small, make sure you're doing like 1/8 of an inch from the outer edge. Just go nice and slow. Try not to tug on your zipper too much. That can create bumps and waves. Just let the zipper rest. Let it be free. Okay, so there it is, basted. And then I'll lay my lining fabric on top of that. So sometimes I baste, sometimes I don't. It's just what feels right. You can also, if you're worried about your lining being too small, you can cut it a little bit wider and then just trim down your excess. Okay. Flipping it over and coming in another 1/8 of an inch, kind of compensating for that and making that 1/4 inch seam allowance. This will be my 5th time making these small snowdrops, so if you're like, wow, you're fast without looking at the instructions, it's because it's all I do. So I'm going to zip my zipper all the way, and I'm going to press from the lining side using steam. Making sure not to hit the vinyl. And then I'm going to fold this together and line it up. Okay, all good. So I'm folding it as I'm sewing it. Okay, and again I gotta trim down my side just a little. So you can see that my lining is a little bit loose here. You could re-sew it if you wanted to, but I know that I'm going to catch it when I baste it to the exterior, so I'm not too worried about it. So what you want to do now is kind of zip, unzip, make sure everything feels nice. And then you're going to fold this in half, lining up the zipper panel, and then snip your center marks. Well, snip the centers. There's no marks because you're snipping it, and just teensy little snip. If you'd rather measure and use like a pen to make a mark, you can do that, but hopefully you can see here it's the teensiest little mark. But I'm gonna set this aside with my straps, and now we're ready to add all of the connectors. This is some changes I've done to the pattern. Okay, so let's talk about interfacing really quick. This is probably late in the video to mention it, but it's as good a time as any. So what I did was I used a layer of Woven Fuse or 101, and then I added a layer of Decaville Light. This is not necessary, but I really wanted this bag to like stand up nicely on its own. And then I used the Pellon Fusible Foam single-sided. So it's pretty hefty. You can see it keeps its own shape. It's like a pizza. Anyway, I don't know why I did that. And then the side panels, I just used Decaville Light trimmed out of the seam allowance, so cut it about 1 inch smaller on all sides. And then for the D-rings, I'm using like the pattern has this really cute like D-rings that come out of the side that like cinch together to hold the bag differently. I like it, but I think it's a lot of hardware. It gets a little clunky, so I wanted to kind of Marc Jacobs it. I don't know. So we're adding just oh, I could show you. Just this long D-ring connector on the side here. Instead of it coming in, like this would fold in, it just sticks out. And I think it looks cute. So you do how you want to do, I'll do how I want to do. So this piece is cut to 1.5 inches by 7 inches. This is not a new chair. I've had it since May. Oh, I don't know. Don't ask me time. I wasn't good in history and I'm not good in daily life. Alright, so folding the long raw edges in towards the center. I did use double-sided tape. Good eye, Kira. That was quick. And depending on what kind of vinyl you're using, you may want to add a little bit of Decaville Light to the center of the connector just to prevent it from breaking, like ripping over time or something. And the large version of this bag is really nice too. I love making them. I know that you can print out a different size, but like there's the small, which is small, and then there's the big, which is big, so it needs to be like a Goldilocks one that's just right. That was a nice troll. Hi, Judy. Okay, so now I'm gonna add a piece of tape that's about 6 inches along this connector. Yeah, he's up to no good. Yeah, gonna need more templates, right? I have the large ones. The large template, and I want the small. Charlie, it's actually included in the pattern. Oh, nice. I guess somebody else is accepting people. I haven't done it in a while, I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm folding the top edge under so that it's 6 inches tall. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can definitely try and do something like that. Oh, Judy, that's exciting. So Judy said her husband has a CNC. That's awesome. The name of the Facebook group is So Whatever. All right, so I'm folding this side panel in half to get the center, and then I'm just kind of eyeballing this in place. And that double-sided tape is gonna help us hold it. You could add, you could cut like a 1-inch piece of vinyl to sew all the way down as like a side stripe or something. That would be really cute. I've been wanting to make one of these with piping, and I just haven't had a chance. I think next week I'm actually gonna cut out some like Maisie bags or something, because I'm itching to do a bag with piping. Like, what is that about? Yeah, I love piping. And I found some really cool like plastic piping at my local quilt shop that I have been dying to try on a bag. Maybe tonight if I get time. Mary Hurd said you always make these look easy. Do you have any time to help the animals in Australia? Ugh, I know. I really wish I could. I gave money. I've made tons of dresses with piping, but I haven't on a bag. Kira, get on it. Where did you get the scissors that you keep on your machine? I bought mine through Amazon. They're the Tula Pink Snips. Okay, so now I'm gonna top stitch these on. I'm just gonna go up and around and down. So sewing in a U shape, and then I'll add a rivet. Also, thank you guys so much to everybody who purchases using the affiliate links through Amazon. That is so fun. And I get a little tiny bit of that. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Oh, anyway. Okay, stitch length of 5. You can do 5 or 4.5, whatever. you like. And then you want to sew as close to this connector as possible, but you don't want to go so close that you mess up the vinyl or anything. So I'm using this little piece of leather to put underneath the foot and protect the vinyl and the hardware. The thread that I'm using is from Sunny Sewing Machines. I'll post a link. Somebody else might be able to too. But this is a Mon Group thread. This is Tex 70 bonded nylon. The color code is 2830. So it's a really pretty aqua blue. So I'm gonna rivet right there because you can see where this is folded under, and we want to reinforce that. We don't want to damage it. Because sometimes adding a rivet can weaken something depending on where you're riveting through. So you want to be careful and mindful. Okay, so pivoting, keeping that there. They do make smooth feet for the industrial, but it's still a very large piece of metal coming down on top of another piece of metal, so bad things could happen. So I'm gonna set those aside for now and rivet everything at once. So now we're ready to move on to the front connectors. Lisa said, do you ship your hardware to the UK? Is postage expensive? Great question. I do ship internationally, but shipping is based on the weight and actual USPS prices. So unfortunately, keep that in mind. Somebody emailed me the other day and they were like, I can't believe it costs so much to ship to Canada. And I'm like, I feel the same way. Like, I don't control the prices, so I do apologize if you aren't able to purchase it. So I'm sorry, I don't control the prices. So these connectors are cut to 8.5 by 1.5, and there's 4 of them. Oh, hey Kathy, this one's for you. I kept meaning to refilm and I just hadn't had a chance. And then today I was like, I don't feel like filming and editing and uploading. I know, Lisa, ugh. Shipping to and from Canada is crazy high, yeah. Oh, hi Anita. Instead of using Decoville for the vinyl, what else could I use? They make interfacing, there's Peltex that is like Decoville heavy, and then there's 809 and 808, which are similar to Decoville, but they hold wrinkles. Why do you choose nylon over polyester thread for this project? I have the 1181 and I'm trying to figure out what type of threads are used on what project. Excellent question. I went by color. So polyester does not come in as many colors as the nylon, so I just use them interchangeably. I haven't had an issue, but they make something called a backlash bobbin, I believe. Is that Tracy? Because Tracy has an 1181 and she was having issues with nylon threads slipping. So I used to think that I didn't really like nylon threads, but I haven't had any issue with tension or anything having to change, so I just do that. All right, so I'm folding all of these into the center. I'm using a fairly stiff marine vinyl, so this is going to take some time. That doesn't look too great. Hi, Dia. Welcome everyone who's joining the live chat. I think, is this the most people we've had watching now? 400? This is insanity. But thank you guys so much for being here. Quality, not quantity. Oh, Kathy can't use double-sided tape because her vintage machine hates it. That's such a bummer. I don't know what I would do without double-sided tape. You might be able to try like tacky glue. I wanted to say whiplash, but then I was like, no, that's not right. Is it backlash? Whiplash? I missed it. Hi from Jamaica. Cheryl. I don't know where Ben is. I tried to give him a chip. All he wants to do is smell them. Like, he never eats it. Someone's like, you're mean for not giving him one. And I'm like, he doesn't want it. He just wants to smell it. Aw, thank you, Kathy. I'm glad. Oh, share some fire. Our cats eat Wheat Bix. Oh, that sounds fun. Okay, folding forever. Okay. Dumb question. Just started using thicker threads in my domestic machine. Do you use the same heavier thread as your top stitch as you do in your bobbin? I personally do. I get that question a lot, but I don't know that I've ever used a thinner in the bottom and not in the top. Okay, so all of my connectors are now ready. So I'm going to grab my double-sided tape. And, okay, well this person gets a little bit of bend here under that connector. It is what it is. I can't remember how tall these need to be. I want to say 7 inches sounds right. So you want to cut your double-sided tape to about 6 inches. I'm going to grab my hardware for 3/4 inch simple square rings. I'm going to unpeel this double-sided tape just a little bit. Yes, 7 inches is how tall I want this to be. So I'm going to fold this under until it's 7 inches. So there's what that looks like. So you can unpeel this all the way now, but if you're working on a bunch at once, I just leave the tape mostly covered until I'm ready to untape. Especially if you're like batch sewing. So. Hi, Debbie. Oh, Cheryl, I'm so glad the fires in Australia are slowing down. So thankful. Breaks my heart. Okay. So that's good. I'm going to grab my main fabric. I'm going to lay this ruler along the bottom edge because I know that's straight, and this corner here I'm going to make sure it's at 2.5 inches. So from here to here, 2.5 inches. I'm going to just lay this flat. Unfeel the tape. And lay it flat up against the ruler. And then we'll just repeat that on the other side and then the other sides. Okay. Other panel. So really we're about 25 minutes or so from being done with this bag. Maybe 30 with chatting. 2.5. Anastasia said, how did you pick your sewing machine? I purchased mine with the urge of my friend Dana, who was in the sewing groups, very active back in the day. And I was seeing people use these industrials, but I think it was mostly the 8700. But I was like, I really want like the walking foot mechanism, so that's why I went with this one. Those were the only two I really knew of. I sold this bag for $85. Well, it's hard to say. I haven't sold any because I haven't listed them, but I've had a lot of people say they're really cute. So, I don't know. Pivot. So there's that. Go ahead and do the other side. I'm going to grab a nameplate now before I forget. So let's go ahead and add rivets really quick. So I'm going to use this to punch holes. Kira, thank you for your donation. This is how close, I mean, is it a donation? So honestly, just as close as I can. Oh, thank you, Casey. I just like to have fun. I'm usually like, yes, let's do it. Yeah, Cheryl, it's insanity. I'm just like, what? I sell my bags on my website and at conventions, Comic-Cons. So I have a very niche customer base, and I'm okay with that. I don't want to sell bags to everyone. There's not enough of me. Cheyenne, I use the, oh, you mean the handheld one? I think so. It's just all about what kind of strength you have. But I actually purchased a rivet press before I got an industrial machine because I wanted to make sure like my straps would stay on and stuff like that. And I have two different ones only because I don't have to switch out the pieces. And what's funny is my dad just broke this one. Like, I can't unscrew this out anymore because he applied so much pressure. But whatever. It still works. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 rivet caps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 posts. Oh, thank you, Adele. You got this. What do you recommend as the base overall stabilizer for marine vinyl? Definitely Decaville light and heavy. Debbie, I like the freedom of a website more than I do the Etsy. And it's just what works for me. Oh, I got my outfit from Torrid. Kennedy, I don't know of one from Amazon, but if you look in the Sew Whatever group for Rivet Press recommendations, you'll find a ton. Did he like mess up the... Okay. So I add the post and then the cap, and I like to use 9mm rivets. I've compared them to M&Ms before, so there's 7mm, which are like mini M&Ms, and then there's 9mm, which are regular M&Ms, and then there's 11mm, which are like the peanut M&Ms. Deborah, the one I use are 9x9. Oh, thank you. Can I use 2 layers of 809? Yes, so actually you would only need really 1 layer of 809. Because Decaville is kind of comparable to 1.25 layers of 809 during this year already. I mean, including totes and zipper pouches, maybe like 80. Has anyone made their website on Shopify? Yes, that's what I use, Shopify. I used to have Squarespace, and I did not like it. All right, so now that that's all done, what I'm doing is folding my main panel in half, snipping the center a little bit, and then snipping the top an itty bitty bit. Not much, just an itty bitty bit. Because that's where we're gonna line up our zipper panel. I said I was going to keep track of like the things I made this year. No, I haven't. It loves the M&M comparison. I mean, it's just the best way to remember it. Cheryl, yes, that could be. I don't have a zigzag machine. Uh, 9mm rivets is 9mm thing. The bag is so cute. I'm going to have hardware regrets again. Oh no. All right. Yes, Cheryl, I would definitely zigzag your edges. Backlash spring. Yes, that is correct. Okay, so now I'm deciding this is my front. Oh, yes, this is my front. Good job, Tammy. Tammy cuts it out. Oh, that sounded weird. Sounded real weird. Okay. I think I'll add my nameplate here at the top. This looks right. This feels right. So I'm just kind of lining it up. So with the nameplate, I'm just centering it. And then I'm going to use my seam ripper. Kim, I use my hardware supplier to make my nameplates, but I do have a video talking about another person that makes them. Okay. Yeah, Adele, the zipper sold out really quickly. Hopefully about 1 to 2 weeks we'll be restocking. I'll let you guys know. I did get a new iron. Right, so there is the front panel. So now we're ready to, okay. I've changed this pattern to be a gusseted style bag instead of sewing on the side panels and then the bottom, just because I don't have luck putting on the bottom nicely. So what we're gonna do is mark out where my purse feet are gonna go really quick. So I'm doing 1.5 inches. I don't know. You can do whatever works for you. I'll show you what I do in a second. I don't feel like explaining it. All right. So I'm doing okay. My brain caught up with me. 1.5 inches from this side of the Decaville and 1 inch from this side. And this is so that when I'm putting the side panels together, the purse feet don't get in the way. Otherwise, I would change it up. I know, right, Rochelle? Gussets. They're so easy. I mean, they're not easy, but they're easier. Okay, so 9.5 is 4.25. No, that's not right. 5 point, I don't know. I'm centering it. 4.5. 5.25. 4.75. That's it. Right? Yeah, great. Okay, so I'm marking out the center. So this is where all the purse feet are gonna go. My website automatically calculates the price of shipping based on weight. So I will make one, weigh one, and then add that to my website, and then it just automatically calculates based on the location. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so my business name, I actually, that's how I spelled it in high school because nobody could ever pronounce it correctly, and then I just kind of went with it. Oh, Charlene, thank you. I did add my nameplate. Boom. I do normally forget, especially when I'm live. All right, so adding purse feet. You could add a little bit of glue to these if you wanted. I'm using washers and duct tape to help hold them in place. So these are kind of close together, but it's keeping it from getting in the way of my side panels, the way it's being sewn together, so. What can you do? Okay, grabbing duct tape. I can tell you Kira did only get one bundle. I think she only got nickel. Okay, so I'm putting on the duct tape to where it's actually in the seam allowances a little bit so I can catch it and it won't just like come off inside the bag. $60 while cleaning your room? That's insane. All right, so I'm doing this to kind of burnish the duct tape in place. So that's what it looks like from this side. Okay. So now I'm taking the side panel. The duct tape does not make my needle sticky. I have the gold nameplate but only have nickel hardware. Well, I don't think so. Depends on like what you're doing, but I like to mix metal sometimes. All right, so I'm doing a like 5/8 1/2 inch seam allowance. And then I'm going to top stitch the side panel along the bottom. So we're just folding this open and see how the purse feet on my website do come with washers, yes. So we're gonna top stitch through that. And you can use just one, or you can do 2 top stitch, your call. I'm doing 2 so that that seam is nice and flat. Kind of like on the backpacks. This is a very similar method, except it's not round. Okay. Okay, again. All right, so then I'm going to fold this in half. Hopefully everything lines up nicely. And I'm gonna snip the centers. Again, instead of snipping, you could just use a little pen, but I find snipping to be more precise, I guess. So just teensy little snip. And then on the main panel, I'm going to trim the corner so that it's not so pointy. Just literally just a little bit. This is not necessary, but makes it a little bit easier. So I've just rounded it slightly. Okay. So then I'm going to line up the center snips along the bottom. And this is something I've been doing recently that's helped me a lot putting these together. Is clipping it along the bottom, and then from about here to here, I'm gonna baste it in place. This is awesome. So just like 1/8 of an inch from the bottom edge, and not all the way along the bottom panel, but just a little bit. I've actually done this color combination before with the How You Doin' bowler from Sincerely Jen Patterns. And it just turned out so cute, so that's why I'm repeating. And I actually probably could use piping on this pattern, but I'm not going to risk it. I don't think I've got it like perfected well enough yet. So now that the bottom is based in place, I'm lining up the sides. I'm just going to add a few clips along the side. But then you can kind of see it makes it a little bit easier to get this corner just right. So you'll just kind of wiggle that into place. And there may be a little bit of excess showing, that's okay. But now I can sew across the entire gusset, and I'm going to change my stitch length to about a 4.5. And so what I'm doing with my hand is kind of pushing this curve out. And since I've added the purse feet so far in, they're not in my way while I'm sewing. Because so on some of my earlier ones, I added the purse feet just 1 inch from the edge, etc., and they were making it a little difficult for me to sew the bag together. And then we'll just trim down the seam allowance. trimming through that basting stitch, like trimming that off, is going to help your bottom sit a little bit better, that bottom seam. Goodbye. So, I'm going to repeat lining up those bottom centers. Why are you here? Go away. Sorry. So this side, it definitely comes in handy to baste along the bottom, holding everything in place. Again, just 1/8 of an inch from the outer bottom edge on the bottom panel only. Here, I'll try and change up the view while we're top stitching and stuff. Okay. So now we can line up the sides. And honestly, you could even baste the sides in place as well if you're worried about shifting. Hopefully February 1st. I'm not sure with the Chinese New Year when I'll be able to. I haven't had a chance. Whew, I'm really thirsty. Hi, Ruth. Yeah, and like I said, you can choose to round that if you want, but I'm going to trim it off anyway. So it's just, when I was starting, it's helpful, but thank you. Good eye. You're learning. Okay, so now I can kind of shift the gusset out of the way. Takes a little bit of maneuvering. There we go. This bag is so tiny. Okay, my stitching got a little bit wonky right here, so I'm gonna re-sew that. There we go. Okay, so now I'll trim down the excess. And then we're gonna add our zipper panel and then add our lining, and we're almost done. It's the tiniest. Okay. So zipper panel gets laid face down, lining up those center snips. I love tiny. I know, right? I haven't gotten over how small it is. Like, it's smaller than the Lola, but it almost feels more useful than a Lola. That sounds awful because I love the Lola bag by Swoon, but I don't know. Okay, so here is this clipped up. You want to see the lining side facing up, and then as we sew it, we're going to curve it to the shape of the bag, and you're going to sew just over that basting stitch. If you come too far down, you're losing more of that zipper. An NCW would fit in this, yes. And the shape is different for sure. Yeah, it is the shape difference, you're right. Okay, so back stitch to hold that in place. And again, I'm just sewing right along that basting stitch. And this time I'm catching my lining if I missed it before. The lining of that zipper panel. Okay. And then you'll line up your center snip on the other side. Oh, there it is. Deanna, I am not sure when my next live will be. I never really know. I always feel like I should plan it, but... Hi, Tammy. Okay, so I'm unzipping it, and then I'm gonna finish top stitching or basting this in place on the other side. Making sure to catch the lining, and again, just tiniest basting stitch. Okay. So now that's in place, and we're gonna tuck the zipper inside. Hello, Jane. Whew, Cheryl, that's a lot. It's okay. So make sure that your strap connectors and D-rings are all facing down so that you don't get them caught. Almost like a third arm, like to me, yeah, probably. Okay, so then the lining gets shoved inside. And I always like to put the zipper pocket on the back side of the bag, so the opposite side of the nameplate. I don't know why. The zippers on my wall are in actually shoe organizers. Okay, so I'm lining up the side seams on the side panels to start. And repeating. This is a tiny little bag to top stitch. A cylinder arm may be handy, but I don't have one that works. Okay, so here's the whole thing clipped together, and I'm going to be sewing from the top. So what I'm going to do, this part gets really tricky. You want to make sure that your lining doesn't slip, basically. I know, Tracy, I need to. I know. I just don't even think I'd use it if it did work. I'm awful. I know. Okay. But yeah, we're gonna like flip it flat. And you want to make sure that you can see like the tiniest bit of your lining when you're top stitching. So just work clip to clip and take deep breaths. My stitch length is at a 4.5. You could use a 4 here if you wanted to. And then you're going to want to like pivot as you get to the zipper part. And you want to sew right next to your basting stitch. So you're coming in about 1/8 of an inch from there. Just nice and slow. I can see my lining by a little bit. I'm taking my hand underneath and just making sure everything's flat before I move on. And I'm watching to make sure I don't run out of bobbin. Okay. Needle in to stop and just kind of reposition. Make sure there's nothing underneath. Nice and slow. Okay. Just check to make sure everything's okay. So as clips fell out while I was sewing around, I'm re-clipping, making sure everything stays nice and lined up. Make sure your zipper pocket is facing down, hasn't like flipped up to where you'll sew through it or anything. I knew it was gonna run out. I could hear it. It's okay, it's not too bad. And I have actually tried sewing this the opposite direction. It just didn't look as good. So that's why I'm doing it this way. Okay, so I'm changed my bobbin. I'm trying to get back to where I left off. Just kind of refitting everything together. I even sensed that I should have changed my bobbin. I should have listened to myself. All right, there we go. So I'm starting a little bit past where my bobbin ran out. And I'm gonna backstitch. Then I'm just double checking my stitching along the top, make sure I caught everything okay. Looks like we got a little messed up over here. You could also baste it from one side and then sew it from the other side, or you can flip it the other way. But I don't find it easier to sew from the lining side. I don't know why, but everybody's got their own way of doing things. All right. Okay, so now we're ready to burst the bag. You can trim your top seam allowance. I like that the seam allowance kind of gives the top of the bag a nice feel. So I'm going to turn it through now. Yeah, you need 50 hands. Okay. Yeah, Catherine. Everyone has their own way. Like, it may seem like I'm fighting it, but it's just my way of controlling it, I guess. But the last time I tried it, it didn't work as well, so. All right. Did I leave myself a large enough opening? Probably not. So I like to grab the feet first. The vinyl on this is so thick. Sorry. Yeah, I think a bag this size fighting is inevitable. It's like children. It's small. It doesn't want to cooperate, right? So the ribbing is my lining fabric, and I did it on purpose so I could get it through a little bit better because I know I'll be able to sew it back up. Yeah. I just didn't leave myself a big enough opening. Have I ever had a bag? Oh, yeah. Yeah, in that case, I just opened up a seam and re-sewed it. Pushing out the corners of the bag. And then usually wrinkles can be kind of steamed out. So I'm just checking along the seam to make sure everything was caught properly. There's no holes or anything like that. Looks good. So now what we can do is unzip my zipper pocket, turn my birthing hole through, and then grab this through there as well. So now I'm gonna sew up this bottom panel. So I like to kind of set it straight, clip it. For the suitcase. So I'm going to start within the seam allowance of the other side and backstitch, and then go over my existing stitching. And then just work it clip by clip, straightening it out. There we go. And then you can trim down the excess seam allowance if you want. I'm not going to. on that part. So we'll push that back in. Push this inside the bag. And then we can sew up our opening here. Nice and easy. Oh, Sue, that was such a cool bag. I love scrolling through Facebook and seeing everybody's bags. I'm always like, yeah, I need to make one of those. They did such a good job. So fun. There's so many amazing bag makers out there. Okay, so then I'm gonna grab a woven label and I'll stick that inside. We're gonna sew that shut. And then stick that back inside. So it doesn't look as great until the final top stitch, since it's so small. I think I've found that most people like the purse feet. I've never had someone say no purse feet. Okay, so I'm just kind of pressing the seam with my fingers, make sure everything looks good. That bottom will sit nicer once stuff is in it. But I kind of like to give your bag a massage. It's like what we're doing. Almost forgot your label, oh no. So look how close this was to coming off at one point. So I'm gonna re-zip that and clip it. I am not going to add my zipper end yet, and the reason I keep this so long is because it's easier to top stitch it while the zipper is longer and then just trim off the excess. So we're gonna top stitch this guy. I like to start on the side. Lift that needle up. And then I'm pretty much just gonna be pulling on my zipper panel and pushing the lining down. And then you want to make sure that you're sewing over that nice top panel. Folding that lining under with my hand. Making sure you're not top stitching through anything you shouldn't be. I'm exhausting watching you wreck with. Yeah, I have a cylinder arm machine and we just don't get along, so that's why I don't use it. And I don't know, I don't feel like I'm wrestling it, but I guess it probably seems like it. I'm just used to exerting this amount of energy on a bag. Alright, so then I'm going to grab my thread zap. Okay. So pressing the lining nice inside there. So cute. It's probably that the cylinder arm didn't, I think it was faulty when they sent it. It's from Artisan. And a lot of people have zero issues with their Artisans, so I don't know. So the bag, I don't know if it's the amount of interfacing I'm using or something, but like lately they just don't want to stand on their own, so I think they just need stuff inside of them to really sit nicely. Okay. So there's what it looks like all zipped up. So I'm going to grab my lighter and a screwdriver and 2 clips to add my zip end. So I've got, I'll remove my screw really quick. And then I'm going to trim this down till it's about at the end of the bag. Weird. All right, so then I'm folding the zipper tape on itself on both sides. So one side under the teeth, other side under the teeth, so that the tape at the end is only the width of the teeth. Grab my lighter one more time. I'm going to use this clip to kind of pinch it. Grab the zipper end, slide it in there. And then I'm using the clips to kind of help me hold this in place while I kind of wiggle the cap on there. When you want to go as far as possible. Definitely make sure you can see the tape under the screw hole. You can add a little bit of glue in there if you want. Screw that on. And then I like to pull on it quite a bit to make sure it's not going to pop off. Because, you know, people hold on to that while they zip and unzip it, so you'd hate for it to just be like, whoop, and then someone's very sad about the bag they bought. So, last steps are adding the handles and the crossbody strap. Grab 4 clips. Oh, Cheryl, as if it wasn't already high enough. Okay, so these straps are fairly thick. I think I might baste these on with my machine and then rivet through, just so there's that extra layer. Well, not baste, but sew them on. We'll see how it goes. Okay. So here it is with those handles on there. You can see if they were a little bit longer, they wouldn't look as proportionate. And then if they were a little bit smaller, here I'll just move up one side so you can see right about there. 1, 2, yeah. So these are 20-inch handles. If you cut it down about 2 inches more to 18-inch handles, that's what that would look like. Maybe a little bit shorter. Super cute, so cute. I'm trying to choose a t-shirt. Okay. So now I'm going to grab my rivet press I have these 1/2 inch wide crossbody straps that I like to use. These are all vinyl. They're pre-made. I did not make them. I had them manufactured. But I'll slide my 1/2 inch slide adjuster. Mentioned being in Dallas, Texas. It is in April, and we actually had one more spot open up. Oh, good, Kathy. I'm glad. Okay, so I'm gonna just mark where my holes will go with a little bit of pressure, and then one side at a time. Grab my rivets. I'm gonna need a total of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4 for the straps, and 1, 2 for the crossbody. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Actually, if you look through my video history, you'll find the video about it. Otherwise, it's simpleartfulstuff.com, and then under the workshop tab. I only helped organize it a tiny bit. Anne has done most of the work. She's been incredible, and I'm just trying to keep up with her. So one snap hook on the end, slide it through, and then I'll add the other snap hook to this side. And then another rivet. Oh, thank you, Kira, for posting. Okay. So there is my crossbody strap attached. And then we should be able to rivet these handles, no problem. So when you're punching holes, make sure not to use too much pressure. You want to cut through, but you also don't want to like damage it and make the hole too big and your rivets fall out. And then add the cap. Yes, this bag will be for sale at C2E2 in Chicago. Cheryl, yes, I will be. It should be downloading to my phone. If not, I have to like record it, but it's going to be like the one with Nicole, where it's not incredible quality, but it's the best we can do with what we have. I wish YouTube had a way of recording together. When Nicole and I were looking, there was like Google Hangouts, but you can't post that after. This vinyl, yes, Cindy. Oh, I fixed it. Yay. Okay. I'm all talked out for today. 2 lives is a lot. So I'm gonna hop off here in a minute and I'll be sewing. It would be good on Twitch though. Do they have a... Maybe I'll try it. They have like dual cameras on Twitch. Okay, now the bag is finished. And I have 2 more of these to make. So, ooh, my face is all red. Okay, I'm gonna lower this down very slowly. Just so you guys can see like the size of the bag. $39, that's awesome. So here is the size of the bag. And it doesn't, I mean like, it does go under your arm, but it's better as like an arm growth bag. What's up? Where are you going? You're leaving?
Yeah.
Where are you going?
To Amanda's gender reveal party.
Oh, that's right. Okay, have fun. Yeah, okay, I just finished this bag. What do you think?
It looks good. I like it.
What do you know what's on it?
It's the thing from Captain Marvel.
Good job.
Flurkin. I was gonna say Frunkin. That's
A Frunkin?
Yeah. It's one of the characters' cats' names in Roll20, or in the Critical Role.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Love you too.
You can cut that whole thing out of your video.
This is live.
Oh, it's live. Oh, okay.
Everyone heard you.
Oh shit.
You can't take it back.
God damn it! Now they know I'm a fucking nerd.
You just cursed like
Sorry.
4 times. It doesn't matter.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Everyone says hi to you.
Hi. You don't want to come?
Yeah, no thanks. Okay, goodbye everybody.